Welcome back, everyone, to the Capacity to Dream Waller Consulting's Coffee Conversations with your nonprofit experts. Today, I have with me Haley Evans, who is a marketing expert based out of South Carolina. Haley is really focused on making sure that nonprofit organizations have the tools that they need to be successful on their own in the marketing field. So, Haley, please tell me a little bit more about your practice and what services you offer to your clients.
Sure. Yeah. Well, many nonprofits really struggle with the marketing aspect, whether it's the resources of bringing in an expert or having the time to do it. And so I help nonprofit leaders captivate donors, empower volunteers, and ignite action so that they can truly succeed and, reach their full impact and their reach, expand their reach. And so I offer a digital course that will launch probably in February, and I'm working on that to make it affordable for nonprofits to be able to get the training and the expertise that they need so that they can create something that's budget friendly, but also is very tailored to what they need. And so I provide website copy and design. I also am a StoryBrand certified guide, which means I walk through the 7-part framework for the best-selling book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I also believe in leveraging for-profit principles to utilize in the nonprofit field because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about using those kinds of principles. And so it's a mindset thing. It's also learning the techniques. It's empathizing with them. I've owned a nonprofit myself. I've worked in one. I've been a volunteer. I've been a donor, of course. I've been on a board. So I understand the struggle that they go through. They wear a lot of hats. They often are overwhelmed, underpaid, they're understaffed. The burnout in the turnover rate is 19%, which is very high for most industries. And so I'm here to be a champion for them, to support them, and to provide their resources and tools that they can utilize that is not going to require a huge budget, but also to give them what they need to succeed.
Excellent. Well, and I think you put it best in that the marketing, it feels like one more thing that's on the plate of already really stretched nonprofit. And so the fact that you make it very simple and easily attainable is wonderful. And certainly for small nonprofits, something that's desperately needed. So let's just launch right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about strategies for marketing for small nonprofit organizations. That's definitely
Mhm.
an area where you have excelled. Um, if we had to look at what were the priorities, like the high level priorities for a small nonprofit that doesn't have any marketing right now, they have just, or they're at the base level, what would you say
Mhm.
are the very minimum things that they need to be doing in the area of marketing their
Sure.
organization?
Definitely. So I would prioritize storytelling. Storytelling, it has a 22 times more memorable appeal than raw data and facts. There are four key components to an irresistible story. There's a relatable character, there are specific details, there are moments in time, and there is genuine emotion. And when I look over marketing material from nonprofits, I often see that they are missing one or two of those key components, and that can make or break your story from being absolutely compelling, engaging, and getting that emotional connection to, just being a wow factor or, falling flat. And so that is a very simple framework that I teach nonprofits. So anytime they tell a story, whether it's an email or on social media or a snail mail, whatever it is, if they can just remember those four components, like it just takes their story to the next level. So prioritizing storytelling, also implementing the story brand framework. It's a 7-part framework that starts with the character who has a problem, like a donor who can't decide, which charity should I recommend or which one should I get involved. And so it walks them through that framework that clarifies their mission and their messaging to make it very concise. Because what I see is that a lot of times there's so much information in their minds that they don't know how to communicate it in a way that cuts through the noise and differentiates them from other nonprofits. And so the third thing that I would say I would recommend if they're really on a tight budget is email marketing. That is the biggest missing piece that nonprofits do not take advantage of. And I think it's for a couple reasons. Number one, they don't have time. It does take some time to set up a CRM and to segment the audience, but email marketing has a 4,200% ROI. Every
Wow.
dollar you put in, you're going to get 42 back. And that is a quote from HubSpot
No
because it
idea.
is phenomenal. If you can stay top of mind and you're sending out those impact stories, those stories of transformation of your beneficiaries or the volunteer that just is overcome with joy because they're a part of your organization or the donor that can link the transformation to one of those stories. I mean, it's a very affordable way to continue to get your mission across and stay top of mind to your donors, volunteers, your supporters, your stakeholders. So those are the three
Absolutely.
things.
Well, and speaking of emails, when if you're just starting out and you have one or two emails that are going out to a small list, what systems or apps do you recommend that an organization should maybe invest in, at least at that early stage?
Sure. Yeah. So the one that I've been working with is called DonorDoc, and their customer service has been great. They have helped with the migration process. They help set up. You can make an appointment to speak with someone on the technical assets or the technical challenges of it. But you can create a profile, whether they're a donor or a volunteer. You can put their birthday in and you can track whether they gave to an annual campaign or monthly. You can put all kinds of details about their profile and it tracks when they give or when they are engaged so that you can put in kind of like a tickler file, an old fashioned tickler file of, hey, when it's their birthday, send them a card.
Okay.
Or when they donate and you get an email or a notification, send them a personalized thank you note. Just making sure that they feel very appreciated and engaged in the process. That is why I've chosen DonorDoc, and they've been really great to work with.
I'm not familiar with that one. So that sounds like a CRM. Is it also, did you also say it's also an email engine? Like you're actually able
Yes.
to disseminate. Okay.
Yes, definitely. Yep.
That's
So,
cool.
and with the email marketing, say somebody comes to your website. Here's another one that you could say is a very affordable option is a lead generator. Lead generators typically are a for-profit principle,
Okay.
but when somebody comes to your website and they're not quite ready to engage with you, they're not ready to fill out the contact form, they're not ready to call, but if you have a digital asset that's downloadable, a PDF that says, hey, check out the case study that we did on homelessness or see what the benefits are of getting involved with our organization. And they download that, and all they give is their name and their contact or like their email address. And that directly is automatically linked to your CRM. Not only does that person get the downloadable asset, which is valuable information to them, but the CRM immediately starts on a drip campaign. So a
Yeah.
three-part drip campaign would be, hey, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. We'd like to invite you to be a part of our community. The second email that goes out maybe a few days later could be a story of transformation that organization recently experienced. Um, and then a third one could be a some kind of a value proposition. What makes our nonprofit different than others, and why would you want to get involved with us? And so it's a very automated approach, and that's the thing. We've got to get these nonprofits automated. They don't have time to do these one-offs all the time. And so my thinking when I help a nonprofit is, how can we make this the last time that you have to do this one thing? Let's get it automated so that it's simple and it's a win-win for donors, volunteers, and the team.
I love that. And with all the resources we have now with AI, there really are a lot of options in regards to that. I know with my own business that I've had to be able to move more efficiently. I've definitely had to utilize a lot of that to make it happen. So that's really great. I mean there's just so much though that needs to be like known about all of that from a nonprofit executive director's plate. Maybe it's too full or all these things, Haley, things that you help with an organization, and you'll help them get set up and doing,
Yes,
doing that.
definitely. So the biggest thing that I notice is that there's the cost, and that's usually the piece that is the stumbling block. It's either time or cost for these nonprofits.
Hmm.
And so with me seeing this over and over, I have created a digital course that will launch, and that is to address all of the challenges that I keep hearing. And so what it will be, it's called Strategies That Stick, an innovative approach to nonprofit marketing. And it's all about leveraging for-profit principles to attract donors, retain volunteers, and ignite action for sustainable growth and long-term impact. And so
Love
what
that.
that means, I've created 7 modules with 32 video recorded lessons. And it's all about it's starting with mindset. Like, why do we have the pauper mentality? Why do we always have to feel like we're struggling to chase donors, to chase volunteers? It's like, let's think about this in a way that they might want to come to us. If
Yeah.
we can create this brand that is so attractive and so engaging, there's got to be a way that we can capitalize and just to really create an opportunity that's exciting and people want to get involved with. So the modules range from clarifying the message to engagement that sticks, building that story brand framework, also a culture that sticks. When we don't have a marketing strategy in place, there's a lot of internal resistance because they can't agree on this or they can't agree on that. It's like, let's give the foundation and the structure that each nonprofit needs to create their own marketing plan. And so the tools that stick, I'll be going over digital tools, AI. I think AI is one of the most underutilized resources,
Yep.
not only in general, but also for nonprofits. It's like having your own copy editor in your back pocket.
Right. Yeah.
And, when I do workshops, I actually had a roundtable event with nonprofit leaders at my home the other day. I showed them how to use subjectline.com. I showed them how to use ChatGPT. It's like, oh my goodness, like this could save so much time, make them so efficient. It makes me sound way smarter than I am every time I put an email through
Me
AI.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
anyways, it's really, and then that last module is about sustainable growth. And so I've tried to address those concerns in a way that will be meaningful to them.
Okay. Well, I think that giving them those tools is really important. But the other kind of the next level of that is you've got to be able to break through the noise because a lot of other people are doing it, especially the for profit. Like they've kind of got this down, they've got their masters, they're investing the money in it. So you've got to really create compelling content when it comes to breaking through the noise. So how do you do that? Like what are your recommendations for organizations as far as creating compelling content that's going to catch um readers after you've CRM'd them, but even like kind of the cold call folks that are out there just looking at your stuff as it goes by with all the other noise.
Yes, that's a wonderful concept because I don't know if you've heard They Ask You Answer, but it is a book that is all about content marketing. And
Okay.
so if you create the content and you put it out there on YouTube, you create a resources page on your website and you maximize that SEO and you're have a blog or you're constantly a thought leader. Nonprofits need to position themselves as the expert and as a thought leader within their area of expertise. So, for example, say there's a nonprofit that works on homelessness. What are those key things? What are the trends that they're seeing? What are the case studies? What is the nitty gritty of what is really going on with homelessness? And to create content that can be downloadable or that can be found online. And you always want to direct it back to the website. So releasing information that is valuable and is interesting and intriguing is the way that they can continue to be a leader within the nonprofit realm. And using content marketing is huge. Yeah, and again, it's very affordable. You don't have to go pay somebody to do that. If you have a writer or if you can do a case study and then you put it through Chat GPT, you
Yeah.
can create this beautiful piece. And so it's just very interesting. There was one case study that just came out from Greater Greenville, and they are kind of a hub for nonprofits and resources and that kind of thing. And they did a study on what are the organizations or what are the sectors or segments that offer the most giving. And one of them was, is it corporations or is it individuals, and has inflation or giving kept up with inflation? And the answer was it's those individual gifts that really keep things going. And that's what you want. You want that organic and that grassroots, and you want all that support for a base. And so it was just a really fascinating. So I plan to share that with my nonprofit so that they know that
Yeah.
it's not like chasing the big whale. Like it's really building those relationships and trust over time that will gain them the engagement and the level of support that they need.
Yeah, it's more of a marathon in many ways, right? And so you're
Yep.
putting in the time
Yep.
to create that trust.
Mhm.
Um, when you're looking at, some of that work, and we talked a little bit about having this content and utilizing this content to be the trusted source for that information out there. Do you see any benefits in partnering with other organizations or partnering with businesses that are in the same sector? Like, how do you recommend to nonprofits to balance that with the content that they're producing?
Yes, that's huge. I believe in collaboration, and any time that you can find a business leader who is also a thought leader in the community and partner with them on events to bring value to your donors, because a lot of the donors are small business, small businesses, and they're going to appreciate some kind of event where they're being able to network with
Yeah.
other business leaders. And so for example, I put on roundtable events around in the community, but I partner either with another nonprofit or I partner with a business leader. And so if I can bring the marketing piece and I can partner with a business leader who has, say, the finance background, or maybe there's somebody who does grant writing, and we say, hey, let's bring our network. So I'll bring my network of 10, you bring your network of 10, and we're going to have a networking event where we'll serve lunch. We'll give them a workshop. They're going to walk away with tangible information that they can implement out of the gate right on their own. If they want more support, we're here for them. But aligning yourself with other trusted businesses and thought leaders for a nonprofit is huge, absolutely huge. Yeah. And it's a great benefit to offer your stakeholders maybe some kind of quarterly event where
Yeah.
they can learn and utilize some of those tools.
Yeah, we do it a lot. So, I'm a professional fundraiser and we do a lot with planned giving or have in the past. And one of the things that we always did were partner with local tax advisors or lawyers or other professionals who are doing this work for estate planning and that sort of thing, and give free seminars that they're hosting, but our organization is there and on the label and setting everything up and really doing the logistical side of it. And it helps with building that list of people and being first of mind when that conversation
Mhm.
comes back up with those professionals.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. It's a huge benefit. And, again, most nonprofits don't think that way. That's more of a for profit or a business type of way to think of things. But yeah, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much of marketing overlaps with fundraising. Like mostly what you're marketing for is either to get information and education out about what you're trying to educate and inform in the community and your mission, and then to
Mhm.
raise the dollars to do the work for the mission. So it very much overlaps. Like you said, you're going to get a huge return if you implement it.
Mhm.
Um, So let's say we've done all these things. You've recommended these things. We're putting in place some of these systems. We're going to have a plan. What are some of the metrics that you use to measure the success of the marketing initiative? So, like, what are some examples of some real ROI numbers that you would say are good to measure?
Yes, fantastic question. So some of the metrics that I look at are Google Analytics. But really, when you go back to putting a lead generator on your website, you want to track who's downloading it, how many times it's being downloaded, and are those people following up with a donation? If not, maybe there needs to be a little bit more TLC, maybe a few more touches. I think a lot of times donors, volunteers can be on LinkedIn and Facebook. So it's really great to make sure that you connect with them on all of the social platforms that they are on, because the more times that you can touch that person, whether it's a post on LinkedIn or it's an email or it's a phone call or it's a personal letter, those are the things that you can look back on to improve the metrics if you feel like you need to. The other piece that I am big on is your CRM metrics. I want to know what the open rate is. I want to know the click through rate. I want to know that those who click through on, was it to look at donating? Was it look at volunteering? And then target an email campaign specifically for those areas of interest. And so that they can still continue to be um, gaining the trust of the organization, because as you know, people like to do business with those that they know, like, and trust. That's the same way for nonprofits. And the whole point of email marketing is to develop those relationships to go from curiosity to enlightenment to commitment. And that's how you do that trust and providing value over time. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. You just never know, but it's the consistency. So the CRM metrics is the other piece that I look out. It's really fantastic also to do A/B testing. One of the pieces that I have really honed in on, there is a website called subjectline.com. And if you put the subject line that you think you want, it will give you a rating from 1 to 100. But it will also offer optional ways to make it more suspenseful, make it more compelling, to create a tactical change. It's all AI driven. So, say you have an emoji, that's going to give you extra points. If you have a word that's capitalized, that's going to increase your score. If you have a number within your subject line, like the 5 tips, blah, 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 that creates a little bit more engagement. So there's kind of an art and a science behind it, and
Wow.
it is fascinating. That is one of the biggest tools that has really helped me. Plus the preview text. What does that preview text need to be? So they see the subject line, they see the preview text, they're like, ooh, I really want to see and check
Yeah.
that out.
I'm so excited. I want to get in there and do it. Like, I love exploring this and seeing how much it can change, like what you're already doing. Thank you for that
Mhm.
tip.
Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned was about the touches and like the numbers of times that you need to connect with them. And I think one of the most misunderstood, um, from what I can tell with my nonprofit clients, is marketing feels very overwhelming. Like, I've got to create all this content. Are you talking about 5 touches, 7 touches, 11 touches? But even those touches don't all have to be like hardcore, New York Times sort of level articles. It
Yeah.
could be as
Yeah.
simple as Happy St. Patrick's Day. Really just kind of simple, because we're being front of mind, always front of mind. Like, we are human too, kind of
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah. Definitely.
And one of the things I was thinking about when you're talking about the touches, though, is that back 15 years ago in the nonprofit world, we said there needed to be 7 touches. And
Mhm.
now we're talking about 11, 15. I'm hearing numbers even that high, because there's just so
So
much
much.
out
Yeah.
there, so much content, so much movement, and people's attentions are all over the place. I think that's really
Mhm.
interesting and something for our groups to keep in mind. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And I think some of the challenges, they run out of options to think about ways to reach out that isn't redundant.
yes.
But what I really would implement is a marketing content calendar. You have got to get your plan on paper. Because if there's no plan, it's not going to happen. It's always tyranny of the urgent when you're talking to nonprofits. It's like something's always coming up.
Reactive.
But if you can sit down for a day, get your content lined out, schedule it, then you don't have to think about it anymore. And make sure that the content that is within your email marketing is also lining up at the same time as your LinkedIn or as your Facebook or as your Instagram or as Twitter, so that it's cohesive all along. Because I'm not huge on social media marketing because number one, not everybody's on it. Secondly, it's a borrowed platform. We don't own it. And thirdly, if you post on Tuesday, but somebody doesn't get back on till Thursday, they're going to miss it. So that's why I really focus on the CRM as an absolute staple, non-negotiable, but then add the platforms, the other social media as just kind of an extra bonus.
As the extra piece. Well, that's great because I see a lot of people spending all of their time in the social media space, and we're not really seeing any returns there. Like you said, that's just almost like a bonus. That's the gravy on the
And
mashed
it's hard
potato.
to track it either. You
Yeah,
can't look at those metrics like you can your CRM and see how many people clicked. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's great. We've talked a lot about like the different kind of ideas that you have for working with a small organization. Do you have any other innovative ideas about how to stretch your budget further? Like if you have a few $1,000s on your marketing budget and you've got a CRM, you've got to put that into, as you've already said, that's our mashed potatoes. Then how are we gonna stretch that to get a few more items and pieces in there?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that marketing is almost like a four-letter word in a nonprofit space. They have a hard time realizing that it's an investment. Whereas a for-profit business, we understand like you have to spend money to make money. And it's like instead of being on this hamster wheel, you come up with a plan and then it's not just this year that you're going to get that ROI, it's the next year and the next year. So I would really encourage them to bring on either a part-time person, a full-time person, whatever they can, afford. If they can't afford hiring an expert or a consultant like me, I would. So here's another piece that I offer. I offer a 6-month program or contract that says, hey, let's get all of your marketing out there. Let's get it going. And then hire that person as I'm fading out. I will train them so that they understand what they are to be doing to continue the strategy. I
Gotcha.
also have a team in the Philippines that can take that on a monthly basis. So I make sure that all the oversight, the story brand, everything continues as is, but my team alleviates that burden. And because I can hire for a lower price in the Philippines, I pass that savings on to the nonprofit
Right.
so that they now, number one, I'm relieving the burden, and secondly, I'm taking over the maintenance level so that they can get what they need. So that's one thing, is like shifting their mindset. It's like, okay, marketing is not a bad word. And you think about the double standard that we have for nonprofits versus for profits. I mean, keep costs low, keep overhead low. You have to spend X amount of percentage of dollars for every beneficiary. It's like, that is so unreasonable and just unsustainable. And
Yep.
it's really heartbreaking to me to see that the folks that go into nonprofit have the biggest hearts, but yet they are just strapped with utilizing resources that are just not meant to really work well.
That's right.
They are running from campaign to campaign and event to event. They're exhausted. And
Yep.
so, the one option that we talked about as a way to answer your question, I know it's been a little long-winded, but because of the nonprofit that we spoke about actually has developed a product, there's so many other opportunities that nonprofits can develop a product or a service that could be paid for to help fund what they're already doing instead of hosting another event, instead of trying to do another appeal. Let's get creative and let's get innovative of what kind of product or service could we develop alongside that could be sold and just be an addition to that funding. And then It's a no-brainer to me. But
Yeah.
again, it's that innovative approach, thinking almost like a business that could help them.
That's right. Yeah, I think that you're right that that's missing in the nonprofit sector. I mean, there's still nonprofits out there who think they don't need to make money and they're not supposed to make a profit. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's not right. You are a business. You're just going to push that money back into your organization's mission. So I feel like that's a constant battle we're fighting. And when the budgets get cut,
mm,
marketing's the first to go. That and
yeah,
professional development for some crazy reason, like the very
I know.
things you should be investing in.
Yes.
I actually have a little sticker, by the way, that I started laughing when you said marketing's a four-letter word in the nonprofit sector because I have a little sticker that says fundraising's not a four-letter word because that's
Yes.
very much the same
Mm-hmm.
mentality is that it's just this terrible thing and only big
Yeah.
bad evil corporate does it.
Yep.
When
Yep.
in actuality, this is how the world is going to operate moving forward, and we better put
Yeah.
invest our resources there if we want to be successful and to stay relevant in
Definitely. Yeah, that's the thing. Stay relevant, stay sustainable. Yeah, there has to be a long term. And I think right now, a lot of them, they're just looking right in front of them. And what was shocking to me is that 77% of nonprofits don't even have a strategic marketing plan.
oh yeah, that
I'm
number
like,
does not surprise. I'm surprised it's not higher actually.
higher, yeah. And I'm like, what? How did they get anything done? If you don't have a goal that you're working towards, there's two things that come up every day. There's the urgent and there's the important. And if you're not constantly focused on what's important and you are, being distracted with the urgent, I mean, you just lose focus. And so I think that having that strategic plan and making sure that it's implemented on a weekly basis, it just, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think most organizations are living in a very reactive space, most
Oh yeah.
nonprofits. That in of itself is problematic for the whole structure of the organization, much less just the
Mhm.
marketing. So it's a bigger issue that really needs to be addressed across the board. Um, if they had one area, and I think I know your answer to this, but if they had one like this is the quintessential, like if we could get there, this is the best you can do in marketing and it's going to be give you your biggest return out of all these basics. It's the pinnacle. What would that be? What's the gold we could get to if we kept investing in our marketing?
Yeah. So, you've heard of sales funnels.
Uh-huh.
But what I like to think about is more of a flywheel because it's a continuous circle that gains momentum and it keeps going. So you're
Okay.
trying to attract, you're engaging, and then you're delighting those customer or those donors and volunteers, and then you're continuing to grow and you're multiplying it.
Yeah.
So the way that I look at that is I look at strategic storytelling and your CRM. And when I talk to nonprofits and they say, we don't have the budget to do the whole thing, what should one thing we do? I said, if there's one thing that you should be doing, it is your CRM and your email marketing campaigns. Because with that, you can, they say like every person that you get into your as a subscriber is worth about $10 to $20. So if you
Okay.
think about a nonprofit that has 5,000 folks on their list, I mean, that's a lot of money on an annual basis that they're not even tapping into.
That's
And
right.
here's the thing, like I donate to nonprofits multiple throughout the year. I have gotten one email from one nonprofit telling me to get ready because Giving Tuesday is coming up. And there's actually a drop down, a calendar, it's saying 5 days ago, whatever, how many hours, and it's getting me excited. It's like, tell people what they can expect. Don't
Yeah.
just spring it on them. You've got to build the excitement, build the momentum. So really, I think for them to get to where they have got a strategic marketing plan, the CRM is a part of that. They're using StoryBrand framework, using the four components of storytelling. That's really the key, and it's very affordable.
Okay.
That they just don't know how to do it, and so
Right.
that's again, I'm hoping that my course is going to hit a nerve, and that will be a good resource option for them to be able to afford it, but still get the really great expertise that could help them go to the next level.
and continue it on at even beyond your support. Yeah, I love
Mhm.
that. Well, Haley, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate you joining today. And I heard you talking a lot about your strategies that stick, and so that training, and I'm guessing that that's really where you want the nonprofit executives who are listening to this, where you really want to have them go and check that out. And can you tell us what that website is?
Yeah, so if folks can go strategies that stick, and that will take them directly to the digital course content. It's a fabulous value. I've got 7 modules, 32 lessons. I offer 6 group coaching sessions along with it so that they don't have to worry about accountability, and they'll get peer reviews and that kind of thing. It also offers a 14-day money back guarantee, and
Excellent.
it's lifetime access. So as I continue to update the course, they will get the newest, latest version. I sell it for $29.95. I do also offer a 12-month payment plan. And right now I've got a waiting list. And so I'm only going to take so many just because I want to make sure that I can give them the time and the devotion that they need. But so strategies that stick, and
Love
they
it.
can go and find out more information about that. I also have a nonprofit private group called
Okay.
Nonprofit Strategies That Stick that any nonprofit leader can go to join. They'll get just some encouragement and some empowerment, some free guides at times, and just an opportunity to say, hey, I'm struggling with this. And then there's other nonprofit leaders that we can pipe in and say, hey, I've had really great success with this. Try that. So it's just another way to try to connect and to help on an individual basis.
I love it. So many resources. That's awesome. I would expect nothing less from a marketing person. You have all the education, all the resources for your
Thank you.
for your
Yes.
folks. But
Yeah.
Haley, I'm so grateful for you being here today and really helping to educate and inform the nonprofit sector. And I really look forward to and hope we have the opportunity to work together.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much, Shani, for the opportunity. I really appreciate what you do in helping nonprofits and how you connected me in the past, and just really appreciate the work that you do.